for your political issues, social justice advocacy, education, empowerment, enlightenment, roots and culture discovery, linking up to lifting up, humanity and community service projects, local and diaspora economic projections. We bring you these and many more on the Culture Queen TV show.
This song is a call to action. We must wise up to rise up.
Welcome to another episode of Culture Queen TV. I am your host, Mammah D. Today, we are at the National Museum in Ghana.
Each one, rich one, teach one, sick one, love one another, cause united we can be one. Proud African children of the sun. Never give up on spreading the love, yeah. Link one, lift one, cause hard times will come. Stay strong, don't stop, cause better days will come, so move on.
So we are all set and we are now off to live, love, and learn about the National Museum of Ghana's gallery. This is a very, very eye-opening, decorative place. And I am about to introduce you now to our tour for the day, Samuel.
Hello, Mammah D. You're welcome.
Thank you, Samuel.
Yeah,
I
yes,
look
Mary.
forward to learning a lot today.
Right, and I can bet you are going to enjoy yourself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you're going to see so much, of such an amazing stuff that we have here, in Ghana.
Okay.
And even before we zoom into the nitty-gritties, within the space, the main theme for the exhibition we're about to experience is on unity in diversity. Now, we want to portray how very complex our society is as a people, but yet still, we're finding a common ground for unity and for purpose.
Okay.
And so we have structured the whole exhibition into 4 main areas. We have a section on the beginnings, which talks about the first Ghanaians, how they lived. So we largely find archaeological materials, which speaks of the stone implements or the stone
How
tools
they
that
live,
had.
their way of life.
Exactly, and how they survive.
Yes.
There's another section on states or state formation, which speaks of the discovery of iron and how it impacted our local industries. There's another section again on kingdoms, which also talks of how communities expanded beyond their boundaries into conquering other areas and then having, consolidation of those areas and forming up what kingdoms. There's a section on post-independence Ghana, which is on the first floor. We'll be seeing there's a side attraction on contemporary arts, and then we'll conclude this tour with the spider you find in the middle of the gallery, which is the Anansi, and that evokes a lot of folktale. So come with me and let's have a look. Yes, Anansi. I'm sure you might have heard of Anansi at some point.
We just pronounce it differently.
But
yes,
so it's Anansi.
Aha.
So you say
Anansi.
Anansi accent, the US accent.
Yes.
But it's Anansi.
Okay, Anansi.
Yes, Anansi. That's the spider, and
Yes.
there's a lot of folktale storytelling around.
I have a book
Anansi.
on it.
You have a book.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you are back to the root where you get to hear the original stuff, and
Yes.
you are going to have fun. I can assure you that you have a lot of fun.
Yes.
Doing this tour. So just let not your heart be troubled. Rest assured, and
Yes.
then let's enjoy ourselves.
So I have to just start with saying, we say Anansi, but it's Anansi.
Good, Anansi.
So I will be practicing my new Ghanaian dialect. But I'm learning every moment that I'm here, and especially when I have the opportunity to come to some of the historical sites. But as you know now, watching this show, we believe in each one, reach one, teach one. So as this one will learn today, this knowledge is for all of us to embark upon and to most importantly act upon as we move forward, onward, and upward. Shall we?
All right, so Mammah D, we can boldly walk into the beginning section.
Okay.
So this is the introduction to the section.
Okay.
Where since I'll be doing the explanations to you,
Yes, please.
We can just rightly move into the first group of exhibits or the collections of stones, and then we can, talk about them. Yeah, so like I indicated, now this is the beginning section, and these are the stone tools or stone implements that were used by the first Ghanaians. Now there's this ethnic group or tribe we call the Guans, the Guans, Guan, the Guan, and they were the Aboriginals, the first people or the
That
oldest
settled
known
in.
people that settled here in this country or this territory called Ghana. And this group of people are spread across the country. So from the north, coming through the Bota side. So from the north, Gonja and Ishimuru, you come through the north, Ketekrachi, you come down into the middle belt somewhere, eastern region, and then you come to the south. You find them spread across. So they form a sign like a crescent or a question mark on the Ghana map. That is how they are evenly spread across the country. Now, so archaeological evidence points to the fact that about between 10,000 to 40,000 BC, these people were already settled here.
Yeah.
And the evidence is the stone age tools or stone implement that have been dated to that effect. Yeah, so these are a few of the stones that have been discovered here. And some were used
for scanning, game,
yes, for skinning,
cutting wood,
exactly.
Other plants. So you kiddos who are watching, you should appreciate modern engineering, which have developed our world in which we live, to where we don't have to cut plants with rocks. As we're learning here, this is a hand axe. Again, thanks to modern technology and engineering, those developers. So if you are an innovator, you like to experiment, you like to create, keep creating, because as you see, the original people who settled in Ghana, dating back to about 10,000 BC, this is what they only had access to in that time period in human history. So we're counting on you, youngins, to keep on listening to your teachers, being creative, discovering new things. Yes, you will. Some of you will fail. Oftentimes in leadership, we do fail, but we fail higher and advance to go farther than generations before us. So have a good look at some of the tools and some of the things that was used right here in Ghana for grinding stones, this here for cutting and chopping. We can appreciate where we are today in 2022.
Exactly. Right. So with the passage, exactly. So thank you for that. Those statements, right. Now, so with the passage of time, we had other ethnic groups migrating and settling here. And then that led to a lot of interactions with the first Ghanaians. And even in some areas, these people have kind of been absorbed into the more, the more obvious ethnic groups, or the more
modern ethnic groups that
exactly.
we're familiar with.
Exactly, yeah, but you will still find the Guans there. Now, these interactions led to a lot of trading activities also ongoing amongst these ethnic groups. And so we've traded among ourselves extensively. But even beyond the borders or boundaries of what we call the modern day Ghana, we've traded with other West African peoples, and even as far as to the north. So this will lead us to a very interesting section here, which is an African map indicating some very ancient towns or places where we kind of traded with. So you realize that this African map you are seeing is not divided into political boundaries. You can't see any map of any of the countries. In the sense that was of a European creation. Now, before the late 19th century, the whole of Africa was not divided into countries or political boundaries. It was a major European nations who had settled here originally for trade, commodity trade, and later on the transatlantic slave trade. They actually divided the lands as colonies or territories for their control.
Each one, rich one, teach one, sick one, love one another, cause united we can be one. Prouder, freaking children of the sun. Never give up on spreading the love, Link one, lift one, cause hard times will come. Stay strong, don't stop, cause better days will come. So move on, welcome to Link Up, to lift up movement. It's better when we come together, so link up to lift up, link up to lift up. So we can empower you when you're about to give up. Link up up to lift up, together we can rise up now. To everybody who needs freedom, link up to lift up, link up to lift up, so we can empower you when you are about to give up. Link up to lift up, together we can rise up now. So link up now, yeah. Everybody needs a teacher, learn and focus on the future. When black people come together, we can cancel new world order. The killing doesn't matter, drop the gun and stop them.
That they
Like the
didn't have.
Europeans. Exactly.
Makes sense.
So you see people living as communities, as kingdoms, as empires, as small villages, and that is how we lived until these lands were summed up together or bottled up together as a country or as colonies, which later on became these political boundaries we have today as countries. So Ghana is located somewhere
All
around this
there.
spot.
Okay.
Yes. So
Well, tell the directors, whoever is in charge of this place,
Yes.
put a black star so that we can mark Ghana just with a star on the map. Tell them that.
The Culture Queen TV show.
all right, so like you said, Ghana is around this spot,
Yeah.
except with the black star.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just to show, to the whole world that we were not existing as political boundaries, some years back. And so some of our major trading commodities, we traded with other West African people. So we sold to them, we have a lot of gold, we sold them a lot of gold. We sold so much salt, a lot of ivory, that's the tax of the elephant. And then we also sold a lot of kola nut, Kola, and then
Kola
nut.
nut,
Yeah, kola
okay.
nut. Now, we got in exchange, we got some leather products, textiles from these people who also then traded beyond the Sahara Desert. So this is the desert, the Sahara Desert. People would go through these routes or these routes into North Africa, to trade with the North Africans. Now, kola nut was one of the most sought after commodity by West African traders, in the sense that it served some very amazing purposes. Now, the kola nut is able to numb hunger and thirst. And when you're traveling for a very long distance,
the
it's very
desert,
difficult to
yeah.
find water. But with the kola nut,
Preserve it. Yeah.
you can go many hours or even days without water. And the whole of West Africa, there's a town in the northern part of Ghana called Salaga. And it was referred to as the Bini Goro, meaning that the home of kola nut. That is where a lot of traders will move all the way. We have traders coming all the way from Hausa town. This is modern day Nigeria. This is ancient Timbuktu, which modern day Mali. So
Let me stop.
Yes.
Ooh, really?
Yes, that is ancient Timbuktu.
Well, I've done my DNA, and my DNA says that 23% of my ethnic genetic informations
Okay.
come from the modern day, Nigeria, which is prior
Formerly,
to
yes.
Nigeria, this place.
Hausa town.
But 21% of my DNA is Mali. But Timbuktu is very significant. Let me ask you, historian, can you tell me why?
Yeah, because the first university came up there. The first libraries also came up from Timbuktu.
He's an expert. All right. There you go.
So a lot of additionally, or in addition to that, a lot of Muslim traders who came from Hausa town, modern day Nigeria, ancient Timbuktu, modern day Mali, settled among the northern Ghanaians. So around the 14th century, these were the people that introduced Islam to the northern part of Ghana. Now, Christianity, on the other hand, came from the south. We had a lot of European nations or Europeans settling here, building forts and castles for their accommodation. Now, they later on brought missionaries. So originally it was commodity trade, which later on changed to the transatlantic trade. And then they brought in missionaries who later also, introduced Christianity.
You spread it.
But we still have what we call the indigenous traditional Ghanaian religion. Yeah, so there's a section on religion. When we get there, I'm going to explain some of the differences to you.
And that's really good, because one of our upcoming episodes, we will deal with religion, Christianity, Islam, and the traditional indigenous religious beliefs. So this so far, again, for me, I learned personally so much, because we always wonder why we are who we are. How, like, where do we get our personality from? What shapes us? And, you know, I have such great respect for Timbuktu as a scholar myself. So now I'm going, oh, so my genetic code comes from people out of that very prestigious and an intellectually charged land. So, wow. I know who I am more today than I did yesterday. Thank you.
You're welcome. So before we move out of this section, we have the ancient Ghana here, but we have modern day Ghana here. These are two distinct places. We'll be finding out the differences.
Oh, okay.
In the jiffy. So
okay, sure.
We can move on now. And then we'll be bypassing some very ancient towns. Apart from Timbuktu, Hausa towns, we also have other few towns like Jenny, we have Kumbisala, we have Segu. These are all very ancient towns that kind of who were mostly engaged in trade. You know, when you come to the African region or the West African region, these are communities where trade was done extensively.
Okay.
So this leads us to the ancient Ghana Empire, which we see here. And so also with this West African map or the African map, you still see some few legends indicating the direction through which commodities were moving across,
Africa. Doing their trade.
The
things
trading
that were organic. Gold, slaves, ebony,
ivory. You see ceramics, coming from the desert areas like Ghats into West Africa or into Timbuktu. And then from Timbuktu, it also trickles down into other areas. And you can see salt going up into
This is why Africa is so rich. The richest continent in the land. Look at this stuff. Copper, gold, ivory, cola, salt, spices, glass, ceramic, silk, slaves. Can you believe that, people? Money. In fact, in my new book that I'm writing now, which is on leadership, my very first chapter is called Black Money.
Black Money.
And I touch on slaves then briefly, but I really go in to analyze it today.
Okay.
I might need a picture of this for the book.
Yeah, you should take a picture of it. All right, so now we have here the ancient Ghana Empire. We have modern day Ghana here. Now, the ancient Ghana Empire, arguably this was the first in the whole of West Africa. 4th century AD. That was when this empire emerged. Very powerful empire with very complex, sophisticated traditions.
Yes.
Now, by the 8th century period, it has reached its peak of power and authority. 13th century period, they were attacked by the ancient Timbuktu or the Mali Empire. So Mali Empire defeated, specifically 1225. That was when they overpowered the ancient Ghana Empire, kind of destroyed it and
the tribal wars we've heard about.
Yes. So now this whole area here indicated shows the ancient Mali Empire. Having defeated the ancient Ghana Empire, now they were able to consolidate this whole lands in these whole areas. Now, modern day Ghana is located around here. Formerly, we were referred to as or called the Gold Coast, but this was a colonial name, right? Yeah. The Portuguese who first settled here or first came in.
It makes sense.
Yeah, they saw the amount of gold being traded and they were amazed, and then the name came up as the Gold, Coast. Now, after independence, we wanted a new identity, a new name for ourselves, and that began with a change of name. Because if we had continued with our colonial name, then ideologically we would have still been in the race of
you're called by their name. So this was the name prior to colonialism?
So the prior name, like I indicated earlier, we only existed, there was no country. So we existed as kingdoms, as communities, villages. And each area or community had its own name. So
Identity. All right, got it.
We have the Gadadangbes, we have the Asantis, We have the Bole Bamboy, we have the Dagumbes, Mapusi. That is how there was no country.
It was no name,
There
but
was no name.
the colonizers named it Gold Coast.
Exactly.
And then when the independence came, they
changed
and named it Ghana.
Ghana.
Got
exactly.
it.
So
Okay.
we adopted the name Ghana here from the ancient Ghana Empire because it was destroyed, and then there was no territory that was using the name as at the time of independence. So our nationalists back then, or our politicians, thought it wise that it would be good to use this name. They
Go back
took up the
and
name.
get Sankofa. Go back and fetch it.
Yeah, and so we adopted the name, and then now
Yes.
that is what we use. So our first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, he has this very popular independence speech declaration. That was when he also mentioned Ghana. You know, Ghana, our beloved country, is free forever. So he actually declared the name for our independence. So today we are called Ghana, but we are different and separate from the ancient Ghana
I
people.
understand.
Now, the ancient Ghana people are referred to as the Soninke, Soninke. Now, in modern times now, you will find these people in the southwestern part of Mali. So they are around this southwestern part of Mali. They are also at the southern part of Mauritania, and then on the southeastern part of Senegal. So that is the enclave where you find the Soninke people. So now they've been absorbed into these countries. But we kind of have some few similarities. They had gold, they had the salt, they had kola nut, just like us. So some historians have tried to create a link between certain ethnic groups migrating from here and settling here.
There.
But it's largely hypothetical. There's not much evidence to prove their claim.
Okay.
So, but what is generally accepted by almost all
Was
historians is
Kwame
that
going back to represent in a for us, by us type way, a name that was outside of the naming that the colonizers had chosen.
exactly. So we only adopted the name and then put it on this territory. So today we are proudly Ghanaians or Ghana.
Yes.
The Culture Queen TV show.
All right, so we've arrived at another section which is on still on excavations. Now, these are terracotta figurines or objects, sculptures. Now, this is from an area in the northern part of Ghana, the northeast part of Ghana, called Yipambongo. Yipambongo. Now, this object you see here, some of just animal form, some to of human form, some a combination of both humans and then animal. And this speaks of the level of civilization that the Yipambongo or the Komabusa people had attained around the 12th, 13th, and 14th century period. Now, these are people who started arts, through the terracotta figurines. And what we are seeing here is baked clay or bent clay to represent different ideologies, different, in general, their worldview of life.
Right.
So your traditions, your customs, your beliefs are all represented.
This is culture.
Yes.
Yes.
Through this.
This is their culture.
We
Wow.
find. And these have been dated to around that period, the 12th, 14th, 13th century period. And that is proof that people, had art.
Were there. They
And,
were there.
They had their own form of art, which, is what is being indicated here.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
It says it was confiscated.
Good.
From whom?
Yeah,
When?
so-
Where? Well, we see when, but how and why?
Yeah,
Tell me all of that.
There's this illegal trafficking of cultural goods. ICOM, UNESCO, and all museums across the world, or all heritage lovers and patrons, we are all fighting against illicit trafficking of cultural goods. And so we work hand in hand with many other security organizations, like the Ghana Immigration, Ghana Customs, and all that. So sometimes people, to be able to export or take out any cultural goods out of the country, you need permission from the Ghana Museums and Monuments Board. We are the custodians of all this material heritage.
Okay.
So a lot of people use the back door to steal this item because once you sell them on the black market or on the international market, you make a lot of millions.
Yes.
Dollars. You make so much money from it. So we intercept it. So when the Ghana immigrations find out that some people are exporting goods illegally, they notify us, they confiscate the objects, and then we go and pick them up.
Okay.
Yes, because
So it's a system
exactly
of different stakeholders that they want to
getting
stop
involved in protecting
this
our
black
heritage.
market of,
exactly
I guess, trading in others' culture for
exactly
their
for their
riches,
own
to enrich
riches,
them,
benefits and stuff.
versus for the original people to learn their story.
Exactly.
So wow, so it's a good
Yeah.
thing that
Once we
these
confiscate them,
systems
we
are
can
in
have them
place.
on display. Yeah, yeah, you have them on because it serves a greater good, to the world and to the general public. These are objects of universal value that we get to understand how knowledge and technology advancement advance in different societies across the world, and even in Africa and in Ghana as well. Some of the objects, had funerary connotations. Some were used for burial, others to represent political figures, others to, to showcase the kind of animals which existed within that particular society, others to just the domestic objects, within that society. And this serves as a means of communicating, various ideas and,
You know what? My student mind want to know. Like, I would love to be able to sit down with someone in 1200 and let them interpret what this means in their
in their
understanding, in their context. Because we can interpret it and it's going to be way off.
Exactly.
But I would love to hear, like, what inspired this and how and what does it mean to you? Because it means something different to us, like thousands of years later. So, these are the things that makes the mind.
Curiosity.
This is what makes even young people continue to develop your art, because it will be a time where hundreds of years in the future there will be human beings studying your work. And maybe you can leave a caption to talk about your interpretation. What inspired this song? What inspired this artifact, picture, painting, you name it. So seeing as though you hear my question, if you are an artist, you make sure you leave some writing on the wall so that hundreds of years later, someone know what inspired such creative artwork out of you.
The Culture Queen TV show.
So we are here at your next beginning exhibit. And right away, what catches my attention is this artifact that says multi-face head. Do you know what this means?
Yeah, so you can see this depicting a Janus head. So two-faced head. Or even compared to this one, you have two faces or an image or a sculpture sharing two faces. So this is the idea. Now, traditionally, it's believed that when people die, they are moving or advancing into a spiritual world, which is the ancestral world. Now, we believe that those people are not completely cut off or alienated from those who are living the physical world. The belief is they still have an influence over the affairs of those who are living. So those who are living, to show the connection and that kind of bonding we still have with people who have even died, they have this kind of Janus head figures to show that connection, that we are living on this side. We are almost the same as those on the other side. And we still have that connection with them. They still have an influence over our lives or on our lives. That's why you see some of the objects with the Janus head being depicted on them.
So it's more like the relationship between life and death, after death.
Exactly.
And how even those who have left and gone, they still are living within us in
or with
some
us, or out there somewhere in some capacity. Yeah. So this generally represents a warrior, but up there you see an interesting sculpture with wings.
Yes.
Sort of. Now, there's also this belief that witches do exist. There's witchcraft.
Yeah.
And over here, witches are always evil. We don't have good witches. Sorry for you. They are no good witches.
Okay.
And they're always out there to cause harm. They fly at night. They don't use brooms and stuff like that.
But they got real wings.
Yeah, they fly.
You ever seen one?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. But I want to see one myself, because
you need to put it to rest. Yeah, you need to.
I'm very curious about it, and it's always a wonder to to hear such stuff. And over here you see something like a man or someone riding on an animal.
Yeah.
So that could represent a donkey, a horse, or a camel. So usually when you're traveling within a very short distance for your trade,
and especially during this time.
Yes, then you can use camels or horses. But if it's a very long distance trip, probably across the Sahara Desert, then you need a camel because these are animals that can
Travel.
travel for those very long distances. And this is a suggestive of some form of leadership or authority. This looks like a crown that was kind of emerging or coming up within this particular society, the Koma Busa people or the Pambongo. Yeah, so that is what we have for these few collections. Also similar to what we saw from the other side, the very first showcase here. So it's from one group of people, which is the Koma land, the Yipambongo or the
In
Koma
the
Busa people,
northeastern
part
region.
of Ghana. Yes.
So this is here tangible things you can touch. While we don't want to, but this is evidence that those in sometime between 1200 and 1800 AD, this is what this is evidence of their existence. And again, I'm speaking from a diasporian perspective. My ancestors were pulled away in as early, the first Africans were brought to America in 1619. So that falls within this realm. So we always want to know, we always speak about losing our family, losing our land, losing the food, language, religion, losing the culture, losing the art. So, you know, for the African Americans out there, or any diasporian, if you're a African Canadian or an African Jamaican or African Englishman, no matter what, if you are a descendant of the enslaved Africans, you want to come to Ghana so that you can learn more of your identity and get back to yourself, and to get closure, healing, reconciliation. If not for yourself, it is definitely for your future generations.
So let's walk into the cave.
All right.
Nothing to be scared of. You will not be pranked either. So just come in boldly. And we have here an improvised cave.
Okay.
You know, and this kind of talks about the kind of settlement or the accommodation that the first Ghanaians had. Because these people were largely hunters and gatherers. You know, they didn't have any sedentary life to build houses. So they lived inside caves. And these people also did some few artworks on the walls of the caves that they lived in.
Yes.
So behind us here, you typically find a Stone Age Ghanaian, you know, sketching, you know, animals that they would go out to hunt, you know, from the wild. And so this is a sketch or a painting of something like a hunter with a weapon. You can see other supporting hunters, and this is like an animal being, you know, hunted or about to be overpowered. If they don't get, or you don't find the animal they are looking for, then they will settle for an alternative. It's all about surviving and
right.
living. Yeah, exactly.
Still today.
Yeah, so that is what we have over here as rock art. So they kind of started what we call the rock artwork that is usually done on the walls of the cave. And surprisingly, we never discovered this until the 1960s. Yes, we never discovered this until the 1960s.
Did they date it? Did they date the
artwork itself has not been dated yet. So research is still ongoing. Eventually, we would have, you know, those specific dates for how long this type of art had existed.
Okay.
Yeah, so the artwork, you can find some from the north, like the Tusik, from the northern part of Ghana. We have Gambaga, and then when you come to the Volta region, we have Adaklu, the Adaklu Mountains. You also find this type of artworks, you know. And the research is still ongoing to be able to discover.
Archaeologists are still in school, guys.
Exactly, more of this, you know, across the country.
Yes.
So that, you know, we can have a comprehensive database of all our rock arts, you know, across the country. And before we exit this space also, you'll find here, this is a silo. This is a storehouse. Yes, for keeping food. Now, this is a traditional way of preserving food. This is made of clay or mud. And this is outside
preserving
the cave.
from the sun.
Exactly. So outside
and other
the cave,
animals.
Yes, no animals. It's always closed.
Yeah.
There's a door opening which is always closed. And this particular one is under the cliff. So this is outside the cave, but under a cliff. Now, to get your food stuff inside, you take it in from the top, you pour it through the top into the silo, and the food settles down. Now, if you want to scoop out or fetch out what has been stored in, there's a door opening here, or there's a small opening where you open, and then you get to fetch it out. So this is the trick. At every point in time, the old stock which is kept inside, is at the bottom.
Down at the bottom, right?
And then
You stuffing the fresh stuff from the top.
From the top. So you exhaust the old stock, the new one sets in, you exhaust the old. And that is how they always had fresh food, to live on and then to survive on. So food items like corn, rice, maize, millet, sorghum, yam, cassava, these are food stuff that can be stored inside these silos. And there are some communities across the north who still use this. They still have this type of, even though of course modern times now,
indigenous people still want to keep their ways.
Yes.
So, but this looks like a good way, like to protect against other animals that want to eat your food. The animals wouldn't be so intelligent to go
maneuver their way into the space.
Yes, so that was what they had to do to kind of keep their food stuff protected from other what we say imposters that might want to steal it. They have to go hunt it themselves.
Right. Okay, so behind us here, or in front of us, directly opposite us here, you see more of these silos or these
refrigerators.
Refrigerators. So to speak, in modern times now, yes. You can call this your modern refrigerators.
Yes.
For safekeeping of our food. So if one particular silo is for, maybe let's say this is for corn or maize, then this could be for rice. The other one can be for yam. You can have another one for something else. Then you have a variety of food items being stored and being kept inside this.
Very genius with limited technology. Again, as he mentioned, the fresh food is stuffed from the top, so that by the time it gets down here, this food has been here for like 3 months, 2 weeks, 3 months, however long. But this, you don't want to go eat fresh food and let your other food go spoil. So, the mind is a terrible thing to waste. And even hundreds and thousands of years, people were using our environment in order to maintain our lifestyles. And we are still doing it today. But again, thanks to advanced technology, engineering, colleges and universities all over the world that allows even the future archaeologists to continue to dig and explore, to gain understanding from the way of life then, to help us now, because we look back at history in order to project even the next 1,000 years. Where are we going to be? Some are even trying to find a whole new planet, but that's another story.
Okay, so we can exit the space now and see some more.
The Culture Queen TV show.
From here, we'll be moving into the cave to see how the first Ghanaians lived, where they lived, and the kind of art that they also did on the walls of the cave. So come with me and let's
Shall we?
The Culture Queen TV show. Showing every Saturday.
Teach one. There is power in one.